System online. Command center active. All screens aligned. Signal locked. Let the entertainment revolution begin.
Command center desk to the sound of the bass. We're in total control of the fun in this place.
No lag. System is clear. Let the entertainment revolution begin right here.
We're broadcasting live from the control room floor with a billion-watt signal and so much more. Let the beat drop down, let the lasers fly under the command center, reaching the sky. It's the ultimate show, it's the rhythm and vibe. Greatest production, a high-tech tribe.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Dragon Culture Media and Art by McCare proudly brings to you the Command Center. And today, as you can see, we do not have our illustrious guest this morning. Now, he may be popping in later. He's having the infamous internet issue, as same way we kind of did last week. Different situation, but similar. No internet. So, me and Mac here will try to hold the house down and keep everything afloat. Bear with us. It'll probably be a little awkward today. How about you say there, Mac?
Hello everyone, and awkward is kind of our thing, so we work with it.
Yeah. So some of the things we were going to talk about today. So Brian is a massive pro wrestling video games YouTuber. So we were going to touch on that a little bit. We may still later, like I said, if he's able to pop in. And then we were going to get his take on some of the pop culture things going on. He doesn't normally talk pop culture. He normally sticks to his lane with pro wrestling. But I thought it'd be interesting, given what we are, to get his take on some of the things going on. I know right now in the WWE 2K sphere, one of the big talking points is I think it's the head of 2K Games was added into WWE 2K26. And I know a lot of the fans of the game were kind of upset. I know a lot of some of the dirt sheets and some of the WWE game YouTubers like Brian. I don't know Brian himself. I watched his video and it seemed like he was kind of indifferent to it. But I know there's a lot of other people that were highly against it. I have a different opinion, but it's around the same lines as Brian. I'm kind of indifferent to it. At first, I thought it was kind of cool because I was like, oh, well, there's another GM for Universe Mode. And someone I can use as like a GM or a special guest referee or something. That's mainly what I play on that game is Universe Mode. But then at the same time, I do get some of the other people's positions where they're talking about how they could have put in another wrestler. This is some corporate bigwig, pushing his weight around. And so on one hand, I'm like, I get the disdain. On the other hand, if I was a corporate bigwig and I liked a game or something, yeah, I'd put myself into it too. So, what do you say about that, Mac? What do you think on all that?
Sounds fun, I guess, if you enjoy it. I don't know much about wrestling games.
But I mean, like in your situation, like of like whether it be like a movie, a game, or whatever. How do you feel about like someone who's on like the executive side putting themselves into their content?
Yeah, self-insert.
Hmm.
I'm not particularly big on them because it feels like it basically just shoehorns in all this stuff instead of letting the character be just a character instead it's just a person just putting their ideas into everything instead of and changing stuff. Especially hate it when they do it to an IP is when they self insert their ideology or even just their what they do in the bedroom with IPs characters. But for I don't know about sports and everything because a lot of these athletes and even wrestlers they all have themselves basically in a game and of some kind or a movie of some kind for promotion
Right.
because they sell brands.
Well, and the thing too is like, so he was a late insert. Just this week, the game came out a couple months ago, and so I don't know. Like I said, like I'm fairly indifferent on it. Um, I'll be using him, so obviously I don't hate it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be using him. I know one. I saw one guy online was like, "Good, I get to beat up a corporate bigwig," and I'm like, "Well, I guess that's one way to go about it." I know people like political people make both Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Barack Obama in the wrestling game so they can beat them up, and I'm like, do you? I
Mm-hmm.
get so. What you been got going on this week, Mac?
And
What you wanna talk about?
well, most people are just enjoying Masters of the Universe and watching all the the current movies of the week and of the month. And I've just been, me, I like my obscure stuff more.
Hmm.
So I watched Wu Assassins, and then I watched the follow-up movie, which is Fistful of Vengeance, it was which is funny because it was campy, it was cheesy, but again, I don't watch those movies necessarily for the acting. It's always
Hmm.
for the martial arts, which, by the way, that they went all in with that, and the fight scenes in the series and in the movie were awesome. So when all else kind of felt a little like, and the special effects are very corny, but it kind of reminded me of Power Rangers in a way.
That's always fun.
Yeah, so it was very good. There were some funny parts, like some funny little clips here and there, but yeah, they had the actress from Vikings that was uh in it in the series, not in the movie. The movie they had the main three guys, but so they had Kai and Lou and Tommy, but um they didn't have Christine in there, and so they had a different girl, but for Lou. But yeah, it was pretty good. So it was
Okay.
kind of like a nice little mashup. So
So I
basically,
did. Go ahead.
oh,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. I'm done.
I was gonna change the subject. So no, no, no.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry. Uh, oh my goodness, Jeremy would be turning over and in his sleep, be like, "Stop saying you're sorry." Anyway, what I was gonna say is, did you see something? I saw something this morning going around on Twitter, um, about a new Ninja Turtles project called The Last Ronin. Now, I don't know if
Mm-mm.
it's like a show or if it's a game. I couldn't really find a whole lot else about it.
Mm.
But there's some promotional images going around of it. Did you see any of that?
No, not that I
Mm.
recall.
Well, what little bit I did see, the promotional art looked pretty cool. It wasn't revealing at all. It was mostly like about two or three pictures of, I'm assuming that was Raphael, because I think he's the one that becomes the last Ronin in the comics.
Yeah.
Obviously, whatever this product is it's based off of the comics run, where I believe the story is the other three turtles are killed and Raphael is the only one left standing. So it's a very disturbing yet at the same time intriguing concept.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I think for me, I think I would enjoy it more as a movie or a show versus a game. I feel like it's a project that would be too depressing. Like I would probably not want to play it.
Mm. It's interesting to see what they would do with that if it were, if anything comes of it. But yeah, I like Raphael, so it would be an interesting take on Ninja Turtles. But it's kind of like, I think Ninja Turtles, I think all four of them.
Right.
So,
That's another thing I find weird about this because like the last video game adaptation of the Turtles I remember there was that side scroller game that came out a few years ago, which was really big for a while.
mm-hmm.
And I think before that it was their appearance in Injustice 2, where they were DLC in that.
Mm-hmm.
So we really don't, as far as like in video games, we really don't get a whole lot of them. We get action figures from time to time, and but then like the TV shows always seem more targeted towards younger audiences. Even though it's been around since the 80s, they always seem to ignore the older generations that grew up with it. So I'm assuming that this project, given its source material, is not going to be like focused towards the younger audiences.
Yeah.
Your silence is deafening.
Well, no, I'm just thinking. I'm letting you talk. I didn't know if you had more.
Like we said, people, awkward,
Yeah, like I said, that's our shtick.
living up to the hype.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a lot of that these days.
Yeah.
Well, um, let's talk about He-Man a little bit more. Um, so I caught F&T last night, and they did a whole segment on it. As popped in just to talk about that. Um, it's fascinating because it seems like as far as in our sphere, the main topic actually isn't so much the movie itself, but we've had yet another rant in our little side of the internet, little corner of the internet. Tom, who typically uh, streams with Yellow Flash, went on an epic rant the other day, and apparently some people were comparing him to Az, and Az thought it was hilarious, and everyone on F&T pretty much thought it was hilarious too. That the whole rant, and it's funny too because it seemed like to me no one was really mad at Tom for doing the rant. They're like, good for him, he said his piece, but apparently, I don't know the whole story, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. But apparently, he got mad at Yellow Flash and left some sort of DM list or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't understand whether you're on the left or the right, why it's so offensive for people to like certain things, or why it's so wrong for someone to not like something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it, and I don't understand why you can't just look and say someone like, "Well, I'm glad you liked it. I didn't like it. I thought it was shit." But you go ahead and keep liking it. And it seems like most of the people we associate with aren't like that. But you get that one person, and I don't know a whole lot about Tom. I don't watch Yellow Flash a whole lot. And I know Tom has his own channel. But like I watch George the Giant Slayer sometimes. I watch F&T, I watch Geeks and Gamers. And Geeks and Gamers, they're a little harsher on each other than anyone else it really is. But even then, they're doing it in a playful manner. They're doing it, like you calling someone a fucking idiot. They're not doing it out of malice. They're doing it as kind of playfully trolling, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the gist of my point is, I guess people just need to lighten up a little.
Well, I mean, it goes back to like when I said that I didn't like the poster for Supergirl. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of like James Gunn currently at the moment.
Hmm.
I don't think Supergirl looks interesting. I don't think the posters look good. And immediately, what do the comments all contain? Just some people asking me why I didn't like it, and I was telling them. But then I get people who come in and just start, taking my picture and calling me ugly, and it's like, well, joke's on you guys. I laugh at my own self. So, and I've heard better insults and seen better insults by people closer to me. So,
Yeah.
sticks and stones may break my bones, but you guys got weak ass comments all the time.
Hey, Duke.
Like
Thanks for.
I'm not even like insulting you guys. I'm just laughing at you for even trying. It's
Right.
like if you guys like it, good for you.
Right.
But I don't want to. Okay, it's like peas. I don't like peas. You gonna yell at me because I don't like peas? You gonna ask me to explain why I don't like peas? I can tell you, I don't enjoy the smell and I don't enjoy the taste. You know?
I don't mind peas. My biggest thing growing up was green beans. I would eat spinach. I would eat broccoli. I would eat peas. You put cabbage or green beans in front of me, I'm gonna get sick to my stomach.
Yeah, like most green foods, I don't really care for. Like with peas, the only way I was able to eat them as a kid was swallowing them like pills with soda. I refused to chew them. So I
I
was
have
very
it
weird.
like I have it in my mind like vegetables are supposed to be healthy food, and eating vegetables with pops kind of feels like defeating the purpose.
I know, but it was the only
And I
way I could leave the table and get back to my cartoons as a kid.
and I say that while I got a big old cup full of Coke right here. So
It's
sip of
like,
soda for the working man.
yeah,
I was-
but so I had someone who, because I did a little tweak of the poster just to kind of make it a little more dynamic. And I never like trashed the actress and called her anything. And so people were like, well, she's mogging you and you're ugly and you have a big forehead. It's like, the camera does add a lot of height to foreheads,
I got a big forehead.
But it's like, you know what? Cool. I'll be Megamind. You know what? I'm not gonna go cry just because you made me have a big forehead.
Mega mind. That's
Mm,
that's hilarious.
I'll own it.
Uh,
And so, and then I had one of the comments was um talking about how, talking about people's looks and and I was like, I was never talking about how people look. I was talking about how they were posed and how the colors look, how the costumes just look. I don't like the costume designs. I think the lines are very unflattering on her. It just looks very weird to me. And so I was like, I never made it about looks. You guys made it about looks when it comes to the actress's face. I was never trashing her. I actually liked her in House of the Dragon. So
yeah.
shut up,
A
first of
lot of
all.
people, a lot of us that watched House of Dragon didn't want the older actresses. Like we liked the younger ones. So I don't know. I'm overall from what I've seen from the Supergirl marketing, I'm not interested.
Mm-mm.
I agree with like Jeremy and everyone. Like they should have gone Batman. At the same time, I also think about it like should they have done like look at everything else they're doing. They just would have done the same thing with Batman. I mean, look what Marvel did with Blade. The reason why we don't have a Blade movie is because it was going to be a Blade movie without Blade. The main focus was going to be some woman.
Yeah, there is only one Blade, and that is Wesley Snipes.
I love look. People lately have been trashing Deadpool and Wolverine, and I'm like, I never expected it to be Shakespearean literature.
Mm-mm.
Like it was exactly what I wanted it to be.
It's
And
Deadpool.
exactly. And so when Wesley Snipes says there's only one blade and there's ever going to be one blade, I'm like, hell yeah,
It's Shakespearean, you know?
Shakespeare. Didn't he in the comics wear Shakespeare like I don't know what that thing's called, but the white fluffy thing that they
The
wore around their
collar.
necks? Yeah, like I feel like that was in the comics or something. Like that would be hilarious to see on screen. Like
I don't know.
with all the multiverse stuff that they're doing right now, if there was just a random ass Shakespeare Deadpool like walking across the string, I would across the screen, I would laugh my ass off.
Yeah. I don't
As
know. I
stupid,
have to ask Brim or I don't know. Maybe one of our comic book friends
I
can
can look it
maybe
up real
find it.
quick. Let me see here.
Yeah, exactly, John. John had a good comment.
All right, pull it up here.
Well, it's
Okay,
like
I was
he's
half
going.
right.
Yeah, he's going like full like it's everything James Gunn does is very Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hmm.
Like he can't get away from ensembles and stuff like that, and it's like, but I don't know. I wouldn't all the movies that he's got on the back end. It's like I don't really want to watch those get ruined because a lot of these, especially Swamp Thing, because I actually enjoy Swamp Thing in media. And the one good show we got of Swamp Thing was canceled. And it's like, well, I don't want it rebooted because I don't want it even more ruined. But it's like, that was the Constantine and Swamp Thing were the few good shows that I actually enjoyed that were done well. And it sucks that we didn't get more, but it's like now, if you bring it back, it's only going to get ruined again.
So
And
yeah,
Legends of Tomorrow just completely just took me as like that's not John Constantine, okay? He doesn't date internet influencers, and he's very he avoids people because he doesn't want to hurt them, and he knows he's a messed up asshole, and that's John Constantine.
so this was one of the images I was thinking of. So I was half right. That's not the big collar that I was thinking of, but it's close. So um, oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. So here, John says he liked Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, the first was his favorite. I didn't mind Guardians of the Galaxy. It's one of those things like Mac, did you ever watch the Angry Beavers?
No.
Maybe John will remember. So Angry Beavers aired on Nickelodeon, and there was one episode where the Beavers, they're two brothers that live together, and let's be honest, they're dipshits. Like they wouldn't survive without each other. But they wrote this song, and it became a one-hit wonder. And then their fan base started demanding that they write a second song. So they wrote the second song, and it was just shit and complete and utter shit. And they're like, "You're all dead to me." Is what the fans were saying. And that's what I see James Gunn as. He had his hits with the Guardian of the Galaxy, but he's not with Marvel anymore. But he still wants to make Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So what does he do? He just copy and pastes over Superman and Supergirl and the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, and he's just doing the same shit over and over again. And it's not that he
Yeah.
doesn't know how to do anything else. He does. There was Slither and there was so much else before Guardians of the Galaxy that he did.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Well,
that
it's how
he.
he handles the internet. Also, it's
Mhm.
trashing fans and basically calling them internet monkeys.
Oof. I'm surprised
And
that SJW's been going after him for saying monkey.
well, I mean, he had the internet monkeys in Superman, and and someone actually did say, "You're just an internet monkey." It's like
Uh,
that
like
is. That's like Pot meat kettle. That befits you more than me.
Um, so, John, it aired in the mid '90s, so '94 probably to about '96, if I'm remembering correctly. It was a Nickelodeon kids show. Um, but thinking back, the kids shows of the '90s and the '80s were a lot more mature than the kids shows today.
Oh yeah,
They were
because they
imbeciles. 90% of them were imbeciles, but it was still more
well,
mature.
yeah, but because they didn't treat kids like they were total retards, and so it's like you had mature stuff that showed kids, hey, you know what? There's this kind of writing that can actually help them, develop mentally and just enjoy a good story. And kids, we grew up just fine watching all that stuff,
Right.
We weren't. Nowadays, everything is just so mind-numbingly just dumb, and uh, like none
Well,
of the stories are interesting at all, and the characters are they're all
well, look at some of the shows
self-insert.
that even aired, say, like 10 years ago. You got
Mm,
The Amazing World of Gumball. You got Steven Universe. Um, what are some other ones? There was just
yeah,
some really stupid shows
you
that I'm
had
like,
Dexter's
how?
Laboratory, you had Johnny Bravo, you had
Yeah, in the '90s, like
Freakazoid.
all of those were freaking epic. I mean, freaking Dexter's Laboratory. I think every kid wanted to be him. They didn't want a
Mm,
sister like Dee Dee, but they wanted to be Dexter. Uh, well, thank you for someone actually made me feel young. I've been feeling old lately. Now I remember Ren and Stimpy. Like Ren and Stimpy, I remember it because it was originally on Nickelodeon and it was so raunchy they moved it to MTV. So, and I remember liking Ren and Stimpy, and I watched it not too long ago, and I was like, "Damn, what was what was I watching?"
mhm.
Uh,
It's funny
and what's
going back to all those.
what's what's even funny is like my mom tells me all the time that like she grew up in the '80s, she's Gen X, and she talks about how her parents were just never around, just never. Um, and and it's funny because I'm like, well, my mom wasn't necessarily a helicopter parent, but she was always around. She was always watching me. Um, but yet, I remember watching some things, and I'm like, how did she let me watch that? And it's just, it's fascinating to me to see the difference in the way people are raised over the different generations. So, but at the same time, I am grateful to my mom because there's a lot of people in our generation that are, let's just say, you'd want to pray for them. Let's keep it nice.
Yeah. So
So,
back to Masters of the Universe. I'm glad that some people are at least enjoying it, but I mean, it's not my anything I'm interested in. I would have maybe, but it's like I always go back to the Dolph Lundgren version, and it's like if people are liking it and it's a hit, I mean, maybe not so much a hit because it's not like doing so well at the box office, but I mean, people are going out and seemingly enjoying it. I see a lot of positive reviews for it, and if people are entertained, then
I'm
that's good.
I'm wondering if this is going to be, obviously it's a different situation, but I'm wondering if we could possibly see the numbers go up like they did with Backrooms and Obsession, because those two independent films, they got their success based on word of mouth. Now, it seemed like to me that there was a perception that this movie was going to be woke, and obviously Tom felt like it was. But given the amount of positive word that there is towards this movie, and the fact that Scary Movie 6 is getting such dog shit reviews, I wonder if we could kind of see like a swap where Scary Movie plummets and Masters of the Universe skyrockets.
Mhm.
Um, Not saying it would necessarily beat Scary Movie because apparently Scary Movie had a pretty big opening weekend. Um,
Yeah.
let's see here. John says it may be one of those I watch at home when it's on streaming services. I mean, maybe. I mean, that's 90% of my movies right now is waiting for it to be on a streaming service simply because I just can't afford the gas to go nowhere.
Mhm.
It's grocery store, home, and work, and that's about it.
Well, it's like prices for movie theaters and even just like getting a drink. It's like, unless you're like doing, taking a purse with you of like a candy and a drink and stuff, but people want those popcorn buckets, and it's like, okay,
And
I guess.
aren't those popcorn buckets like $80 now?
Yeah, they keep going up.
Yeah.
But it's like, if people enjoy it, that's good. It's like, but I tend to like steer away from movies that are like in the media and all over YouTube and everybody's talking about them, and it's like, but it's like I don't usually enjoy those movies, and so I always go for, if I go to the movie theaters, I just go for the because they're not super expensive. I just go for the more obscure movies, like if there's a Jason Statham movie or
hmm
something. It's just something I tend to enjoy more. And
I
a lot of that is, they stick to a lot more practical effects, and a lot of these new movies have so much CGI in it, it kind of gives me a headache.
mm,
Because it's very like, it makes me a little, my eyes a little sensitive to it all. But like, uh, Avatar was okay because it felt a lot more natural when it came to like the CGI and how, but it was motion capture, so it felt a lot more realistic.
mhm.
But nowadays, like Marvel movies or DC movies are all just like weird lighting and CGI effects, and it kind of just trips out my eyes.
I hope we kind of get back to the days of movies like Forrest Gump, you know,
Mhm.
period pieces, movies
You
with heart.
That's where a lot more obscure movies, especially like independent movies,
hmm
and international movies are doing right now. It's not as common, but it's still out there. You just have to look for it. But for the West right now and Hollywood, it's all about the CGI blockbusters.
Yeah. Not even superheroes more anymore. It's like you said, the CGI blockbusters, which superheroes get kind of, roped into that because the studios rely on that. But it's funny because you look at movies like Backrooms and Obsession. Now, yes, they're independent films, but it's all practical effects. Like I find it hilarious because the reason that studios went to CGI was because it was cheaper than doing practical effect films. And now CGI is more expensive than practical effects.
Oh yeah.
And see, Ambler says, I used to love going to the movies, but the way everything went over the past years have killed my interest. Granted, MK2 was my first trip to the theater in a long time. The last movie I went to see in theaters uh was it No Way Home, the last Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland? I think that
hmm
was the last movie I went to see in the theaters. So,
hmm
says, but these days I feel more like a normie with modern movies. I think that just comes with age, honestly. I've been thinking about that myself, and I'm noticing that with like certain slang words and everything. You know,
Yeah, I just
um,
barely learned what mogging was, and it's like, I was like, I don't want to use it. I like making up my own words, but it's like a lot of these words are like, what the heck are we doing, people?
Well, do you remember the days where like video games they would use like made up languages, not like Lord of
Mm.
the Rings made up languages. Like they would just use gibberish
Well, I mean,
to fill in.
look at how Ninja Turtles, they had their own kind of like slang words that they would
Hmm.
use. A lot of it was related to them being turtles, so like shell shocked, and you know,
I
they'd always do cowabunga, dude. They had like that's just how they were. But every show used to have that back then. But now it's like I don't know
I
what it
can't
is about. I don't know what it is about modern dialogue currently right now. But it's like I can't stand it.
I can't remember if it was like which war game it was. It was either Medal of Honor, Call of Duty. It was one of what I don't think Battlefield was out yet, but one of the early war games had it was like a World War II game. And I remember there was a distinct moment where a German soldier is running at you in a mission or something and yells "Ishnashkala" like at the top of his lungs. And I was like, "What does that mean?" And never found out. And I assume it was gibberish.
Hmm.
But my point is like games they everything goes for like uber realism now, whether it's with like CGI or whatever. And then sometimes that can be nice. Sometimes it's a really nice touch, and other times I'm like, well, that wasn't really necessary.
John, mocking is basically, I think, when someone says that person is more attractive than you, basically, what they're saying. So when that individual was saying that Millie Alcock basically mugged me, they're saying like she's prettier. It's like, well, probably
Mm.
true. I don't really, I wasn't calling her ugly or anything. So, I was just saying I don't like the suit.
I don't find her all that attractive, but then again, she is half my age, so
Well, she was, I didn't mind her because, like I said, her, uh, everything she says in the media right now aside, I did
mhm.
enjoy her in House of the Dragon, but
Yeah,
she's not doing herself any favors with the trashing the fans right now. And that's also like great way to promote your movie, by the way. Yeah, make people not want to see it.
everyone's doing the Rachel Zegler. Like you used to have the
Yep,
Streisand effect, and now we got the Zegler effect.
yep. It's like n- not a great plan, but we'll see how that works out for you, eh?
It's crazy. Like I do think not all of these actors, like some of them firmly believe it. People like Jane Fonda and stuff like that. But I do believe some of these actors are simply just doing what their PR firms tell them to do.
Yep.
Um, and that stems from people like Gary and uh, was it Mars Maston and other people that we know that we watch that are within the Hollywood sphere. The Twisted Twins, the Saska sisters, and they talk about it. There are people within Hollywood that don't believe in any of this stuff, but they go along with it because if they don't get work.
Pretty much. But it's like, or you guys can kind of do. The thing is, though, that a lot of like the actors that I still watch and enjoy,
Hmm.
they work for companies that actually allow them to kind of. They kind of don't really do a whole lot of like promotion, except for because they're not online. They're not terminally online. They
Right,
maybe most of the marketing is very on just on Twitter and YouTube, and that's
right.
usually where I hear about it. But a lot of them they go quiet after their after their movies release, and it's like, can people do more of that?
I
Like
think that's
quiet promotion is all
I think
like
even like in the political sphere, I think that's why Trump was able to get the following that he was able to get was because everyone wants to say like, oh, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I was like, no, it's YouTube. Like, not everyone is on social media, and not everyone has every single social media out there. But YouTube is such a juggernaut because everyone has YouTube. I watched this thing a while back where the people were arguing as like, what is the most powerful form of media right now? Now they all agreed that radio and cable is not as powerful as it used to be. But the main argument was over YouTube and social media like Twitter and whatnot. And
Mm-hmm.
the YouTube guy was like, well, everyone has that little black square in their pocket, and everyone has access to YouTube. And then the other guy was like, well, yeah, Twitter, Instagram, all those apps are on there too. So that's just as powerful. And then someone else stepped in and he said, yes, but not everyone has a social media. He's like, but you see the rise in YouTube, and you can clearly see there are way more numbers on YouTube than there are on any of the other social media platforms.
Well, a lot of the like you look at like someone like Statham and maybe Tom Cruise, where like their ways of promoting the movies are very old school. Like Statham to me doesn't seem like he's definitely one of those actors that doesn't have a huge Hollywood ego. He just seems very grounded, and so when he takes jobs, he works with people he's known and directors that he trusts and directors that like to work with him. Hi, Zach. We do like a lot of they do a lot of those more obscure movies, and they seem to enjoy it because that's the best way they get work, because a lot of these movies they don't even really respect martial artists nowadays. Um, Look at the martial artists that work on Mando, and they don't get their full credit. It's given to Pedro Pascal, who, by the way, is not he's only in the suit when they have to do face reveal. But he's not doing all the stunts. He's just doing the voice. And a lot of those actors don't get the full credit that they really deserve. Maybe when they go to Comic Cons or anything, but for the most part, most people just assume it's always Pedro Pascal in the suit. It's not.
Right.
It's not like Tom Holland, who Tom Holland does some of his gymnastic stunts. There are some actors who do that, but it's yeah,
Well,
a lot of
I don't agree that Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man like some people are saying, but I
he's not a
don't.
terrible Spider-Man.
He's not, and he
He's a good
does his own
Spider-Man.
stunts.
Yeah.
He does his own stunts. Probably not all of them, because there's legalities and there's insurance and there's only so much an actor is really allowed to do. Um, but it's open and it's publicly talked about how he does as much stunts as he is possible to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect that. I mean, you just don't see that a whole lot. Like, I may not be the biggest fan of Zendaya because it feels like she's in just about every damn thing that comes out, but at the same time it's like she's highly respected, he's highly respected, and they're an item, so she must be doing something right.
Mm. I don't. I don't dislike her. I don't particularly like the characters that she plays.
Yeah.
I think the one movie I enjoyed with her in it was Greatest Showman, because I thought she did okay opposite Zac Efron when they were singing together and they had that whole romance going on. But I enjoyed that movie for what it was. I don't particularly watch a whole lot of her stuff.
Yeah, I
Again,
agree with this. I was infatuated with Jackie Chan growing up.
oh yeah.
Loved him. First time I saw him was in the Rush Hour movies, and my grandfather was like, "Oh, well, he's got all these old, mixed martial arts films," and so that was something that my grandfather introduced me to Godzilla, the old Jackie Chan stuff, introduced me to Clint Eastwood.
Mhm.
So yeah.
A lot of like good. I mean, it's up for debate whether or not you enjoy that stuff. But for me, watching like Indonesian, Chinese, Japanese, uh, Chilean martial arts movies, those are more appealing to me because I feel like the stories are more, even if the stories are not quite as well built, they're a lot more built than most of the plots to movies these days because you have a very clear sign of what the character's motivation is. They don't
Hmm.
put any political BS in there, and when they do, it's mostly just within the realm of the story itself, and they're actually playing characters, and the fight scenes are really cool. So, and you got actors who are getting back into original practical effects filming and going back to form. And so that's kind of why I tend to relate to those more and wanting to enjoy those, being inspired to even want to get back into shape myself. And a lot of movies these days, it feels like they're just tearing at your soul of, they don't want you, it feels like they don't want to be you to enjoy them. And so it's hard to enjoy them. They,
I don't think they care if you enjoy them. They just want you to watch it. They want you to shut up, pay them, and say you liked it. They don't really care if you like it or not. They just want you to say you like it. They want you to feed their ego and pay them.
well, it's
That's
like
what they want.
it feels very lazy when it comes to like the CGI is very lazy, the backgrounds are very lazy, the acting is very lazy, the
Hmm.
humor is very lazy. Like they don't they interject all this weird stuff and it's like, but that's not funny to me.
You know, there's a lot of similarities with the gaming industry too. You know, specifically with the pro wrestling games. Um, One of the biggest complaints is, you know, we've got all these modes and these content in these wrestling games that people just aren't interested in. Sure, there are individual sects that are interested in them, but as far as like the core players that play the game every year, they don't really care. And these game developers, on one hand, their hands are tied. They have to do whatever 2K tells them to do. That part is true. On the other hand, they get very defensive anytime a fan criticizes them. Now, on one hand, there are some straight up assholes, and you got the people doing death threats and stuff like that, which is just horrible. But then you got other people that make genuine criticisms, and they're either ignored or they're scoffed at. And you see the same thing in Hollywood. You know, because there's a few bad actors, everyone gets the cold shoulder, and it sucks.
Well, back in the day, if like an actor did poorly, they would not put them in any more movies. Nowadays, they do poorly, they're given more movies,
Hmm.
and
Despite,
it's yeah, and
yeah,
they're cast in roles that just don't fit them. It's all about sticking it to the fans, and it's like you want fans to go and watch your movies, you want them to pay the money. They're the customers, they're the ones that foot the bill. So
hmm,
if you know if you're gonna not give them what they're wanting to pay for, they're gonna go elsewhere. And right now, most of us are, at least for me, I'm going elsewhere. I'm taking my money and my time and writing reviews for stuff that I actually feel more interested in nowadays because I'm not getting it from Hollywood. And
right.
there's so little that there's all these movies that are coming out I don't want to see. I want to see Mutiny. I still have yet to see Tuner, and they were in theaters, and I want to see those. And Jason Statham's got new movies coming out, and it's like I just want to see something that makes me enjoy watching a movie. I just want to enjoy watching a movie. I don't want to. have, I don't want to spend 2 hours rolling my eyes because some Hollywood executive or Hollywood writer or Hollywood actor wanted to call me all this stuff just because I here's the thing, fans, when they want something, we want everything to be good. We don't want everything to be crappy. And it's like when we critique things and when we rewrite it in a way that fits, we're helping people out because a lot of these so-called writers in Hollywood, they're not writers. They're they're passing as writers, but they're not writers.
Right.
And the humor, they have no humor because they can't poke fun at themselves. They don't like it when fans poke fun at them. So and what becomes funny is the way that YouTubers are able to make the content funny, making fun of them and the humor in their failures. We're poking fun at their botched attempts on stuff and making fun of them. And it's like, lean into it. I was getting all sorts of names thrown at me and all kinds of memes. And you know what? I leaned into it. Like, hey, cool. I'm making mine. I got a big head. Just lean into it a bit. But they can't because they're told they can't take any criticism. They can't take any memes. And what do? They just completely try to tear other people down and go after them because we don't like it.
Yeah, it's that spoiled brat mentality.
And that's also a major turnoff for me is the movies. I've been burned so many times. I'm not going to go back and play with fire when it comes to going to these movies. And if people do enjoy them, I'm happy that they found something to enjoy. I'm glad. It's not for me.
I think that's why the big talking point as of late has been how powerful word of mouth has been as of late, and I think a lot of it has to do with what you just said about people feeling burned, and so people are waiting for what actual people are saying when they come out of the theaters versus what a critic online says. They're waiting for the local word of mouth, people that they know that are still willing to go to the theaters, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, so and so said this," and they're like, "Well, let me go check it out. Let me see."
Well, it's more like for me, my interests have changed, and so what I used to like I used to watch a lot of superhero movies and all that stuff, but now it's like I don't want to. Like I'm kind of burnt out on superheroes, so it's like everybody's like, "Oh, go see this. It's gonna be good," and it's like, I don't really consume as much superhero content, even like in uh reading form, because it's like
I think I'm
I'm not.
close to it. Like I'm halfway there. Like I think I'm burnt out on DC, but I want Doomsday. I'm fascinated by Doomsday. I want Doomsday to be good. It's like I've mentioned, almost every week. If it's not good, which it probably won't be, I think that's when I'll tap out of superheroes. It's one of those, and maybe I'm a little bit of a masochist, I don't know, but it's one of those things of there's that last sliver of hope. The flame's not out yet, and I don't want to put the candle out. I want to see if it'll go out on its own. You know?
Yeah. So it's like when I post movies that maybe aren't as good, but I still thoroughly enjoyed, and they're not as I I post them because it's like, hey, you know what? I actually had fun watching this, and it felt like I was excited to watch movies again because somebody was making something that didn't make me roll my eyes. Was it perfect? No, definitely not by any means of former, but it reminded me of the 90s movies where they weren't 100% perfect, but they were
Right.
like going back to the shoddy effects. It just reminded me so much of those older movies where the effects weren't as great, but the story itself and the action was very captivating.
Well, I mean, if you ever want to decompress, I don't think you ordered my book yet, so give that, if you ever got the time, I think it's a short read, like a couple hours or so. And give that a give that a read, and that'd be something different for you. Just kind of step away and decompress.
Mm, yeah, I'll look into it.
But with that, everyone, coming up on the 5 minute mark, and I think we're going to go ahead and cut it here. I want to thank everyone in the chat for hopping in. Those who watched the replay, thank you much. We're going to call it here, and I'm sorry that Brian wasn't able to come in today. Maybe we can, make up for it in the future. But until then, you can find me on X at Draken199. See it there on the screen. And Mac, where can the people find you?
You can find me here on Saturdays, and you can find me on Wednesdays in Real Talk with Brimstone and Raw.
All right. And then what do you guys got coming up next week with Brimstone's channel?
We're reviewing Lights Out with Frank Grillo and the few minutes that Scott Adkins is in it, but yeah, and it's got Cowboy. So
Okay.
that's what
Well,
we're watching.
that should be a good episode. I'll have to check out the replay of that. But with that, everyone, I bid you adieu, and we'll catch you next week.